Hello and welcome to my channel. Ashlee here. Shades of Love is where you're at, so you can hear me read the next chapter of the story that we're currently reading. I hope you're doing well and you've had a great week or had a great weekend. And do you have any good plans coming up that you want to share with me? Let me know in the comments below. Yeah, do that. Before I start, go ahead and subscribe and ring the notification bell because you know you want to. And if you like what you see and you like what you hear, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below. Just to let you guys know ahead of time, like I have been for a while, this is adult content. So, and it's a romance novel. So you'll probably hear some adult scenes. So just a little bit of a heads up, you know, some of that steamy stuff might be coming up. I just want to let you know. But anyway, once you've subscribed and you've actually ring the notification bell, stay tuned because the next chapter is on the way. Chapter 6, School's Out, by me, Miss Thomas. Belle walked into her classroom early Friday morning, before school was even scheduled to start, and noticed the beautiful bouquet of roses on her desk. She smiled to herself as she walked over to the desk to check the card. To my beautiful wife, the woman of my dreams. Thank you for dinner last night. You are the light of my life, and without you, I would have nothing. Love, your adoring husband. She placed the card in her purse and carried the vase of roses to the top of the bookshelf across from her desk. She wanted them where she could see them, yet out of the way so that the students didn't accidentally spill them. She was halfway across the room when she noticed Carter in the doorway. Nice flowers. Who are they from? My husband sent them as a thank you for dinner last night. Wasn't that nice of him? He let out a low whistle. Must have been some dinner to get flowers like that, he said, pointing to the roses that she had finally placed on top of the shelf. It's always a great dinner with me, she countered cheekily. This banter would lead to flirtation, which would in turn lead one thing to another and then, end up in sex. It always did, and she wasn't complaining. Sex with Carter fulfilled a part of her that sex with her husband never did. It was a form of expression, and she needed to be able to do that. Just let go. Being with Carter allowed her to be herself. He took the control away from her and gave her the chance to be free. Yes, she loved her husband, but Carter was a magnet for her lust. She desired him. She craved him. She needed him, like she needed no one else. Selfish, yes, but she really didn't care. She sat down at her desk and looked up at Carter standing just inside the classroom. What brings you in this early? She asked him. He usually wasn't in this early. She knew this because she often came in before school began and was the only one in the building for almost an hour before the other teachers and staff arrived. He unfolded his arms and leaned against the wall. Such a fucking sexy pose. It made her toes curl. I had a few reports I wanted to get written up and turned in before the weekend. The supervisor's on my ass. And then I'm taking my wife shopping for a dress for the staff party next weekend, which reminds me, you'll be there, won't you? Oh, I'll be there. And your husband, he'll be there as well. Right? I mean, I need to let my wife know how many to expect so she can let the caterers know. Yeah, he'll be there. He's looking forward to seeing everyone again. And he was. Her husband loved being around people. He loved talking. He loved having an evening out with her. He just loved spending time with her. Great, I'll let her know. He turned to go, but stopped. Meet me in my office for lunch. There are a couple of things I want to speak to you about. He winked at her and left the classroom. She let out the breath that she had been holding as she stared at his firm ass while he walked away. He had a great body. His body was one of those bodies that looked just as good with clothes on as it did when he was completely naked and he looked fucking hot as hell without his clothes on. I mean, so you should get the point. These students began trickling in a short time later. The morning flew by in a flurry of lessons and recess, and before she knew it, lunchtime was upon them. Okay, boys and girls, please put away your notebooks, grab your lunch bags, line up at the door. They each rushed to do as she instructed and quickly lined up to begin their walk down the hallway to the cafeteria. Her sixth grade helper showed up to lead the way. She followed behind them until they were near the front office. Then she turned inside and let Mrs. Phillips know that she was there to see Mr. Cooper. After receiving the stink eye from the secretary, she was told to head into his office. And as soon as she made it into the room, she was quickly grabbed by the wrist and yanked inside the rest of the way, the door shut behind her. She yelped from the shock. "What was that?" she asked, after he placed a long, passionate kiss on her lips. That, he placed another quick peck on her nose, was a kiss. "What took you so damn long?" "I had a class to teach." "Well, lunch started 15 minutes ago, so you're late." He was only looking for a way to punish her, and she liked that. She took a step back and looked down at the floor, averting her eyes from his, immediately going into a submissive role. She enjoyed playing the meek, obedient woman, but only here, only with Mr. Cooper. No one else could inspire her to behave in such a submissive way, not even her husband. "I'm sorry, Mr. Cooper. It won't happen again," she apologized in a quiet voice, and she heard a loud snap. She looked up and gasped. He was holding a belt. A belt! He had never used a belt on her before. A ruler, yes. A shoe, yeah. A shoe, don't laugh. But a belt? "I need to show you what happens when teachers named Miss Thomas do not follow instructions," he warned, followed by another snap. "Yes, sir." "Remove your panties," he ordered. She hitched up her skirt to remove her panties. She slid them down her legs, slowly removing them one leg at a time. Then, lifting them in the air, she dropped them onto the floor. "Are you attempting to tease me, Miss Thomas?" he asked her, his face void of any emotion. He was perfect at playing this role. "No, sir, not attempting," she quipped, knowing it would probably earn her another torturously pleasurable strike on her bare ass. "Over to the windowsill." The order came out harsh, but still aroused her desire for him increasing. She walked to the windowsill and placed her hands on the ledge. She heard his footsteps approaching and felt the moisture coating the inside of her thighs. Her husband was a fantastic lover, but even he couldn't cause this to happen to her with just a few words. Not like Mr. Cooper. His hand was on her now, lifting her skirt and exposing her ass. "Spread 'em." She looked over her shoulder as she separated her legs further apart, and was thrilled when she saw the satisfied, hungry gleam in his eyes. "Now you'll keep your hands on the sill. Face forward as you receive your punishment for being late. You will count aloud each strike, and you will not look away from the window until I say so." She nodded, readying herself for the painful pleasure that would soon follow. She heard the whistling sound as the belt sliced through the air before making contact with her skin. It stung, it burned, but the heat that followed was welcome. It spread through her body, warming her sex. "Count, Miss Thomas," he reminded her. "One, sir," she stuttered. The pain was still there, even with the warm, pleasurable sensation. Another one followed, quickly by another, each one just as painful as the first and just as stimulating. 2, 3, she counted. Smack. 4, smack. 5, she whimpered. The pain was numbing, and the hits no longer hurt. Smack. 6, she said, ready to collapse with desperate need. The belt hit the floor and his hands were on her hips, raising her ass in the air. One of his hands reached between her legs and met the slick moisture that was there waiting. "This," he said, rubbing her with one finger, while another dipped inside of her warmth. "This is what I have wanted all morning." He withdrew his hands from her, and she heard him unzip his slacks. He stepped forward again and positioned himself at her opening, gently prodding, without entering, teasing, torturing. How does it feel to want something and not get it when you want it? He asked. She knew he was doing this to pay her back for arriving late. Like hell, she admitted. Exactly, he said, and then he slid inside easily. He pulled out and then thrust back in. Neither of them was talking now, only grunting, moaning, gasping, heavy breathing, their bodies slapping together, the sounds echoing in the room as the sweat began to pool between their bodies. This was what she needed, just as much as he did. She needed someone to take all the control of her, to read her body, to know exactly what she needed, and to give it to her. Her husband didn't do this. He made love to her, but he never fucked her as Mr. Cooper did, as she needed. And that was why, regardless of anything or anyone, she wouldn't stop meeting Mr. Cooper like this. He needed someone who would allow him to have all the control. And she needed someone that was willing to step up and take the control she was ready to give. After a few more thrusts, she was ready to come. She moaned his name as her climax hit, engulfing her body, taking over, clenching her walls around him, and squeezing everything out of him. Her orgasm was so intense that it triggered his, and he was emptying himself in her as he slowly stopped his movements and stilled. He stood there like that behind her for a few moments as they both panted heavily, coming down from the high. Damn, that was fucking good, he said after he caught his breath, and she laughed. Sure was. He pulled out of her then and walked over to his desk to grab a towel to clean himself off and walked into the bathroom, and she walked into his bathroom after him, a wet rag to wash. When she finally went to retrieve her panties, she found them missing. Okay, where are they? She asked him. He held them out to her, but snatched them back quickly when she reached for them. You'll get them back when you get to the party next week, he told her. Then he sniffed them before stuffing them into his pocket. Oh, the bastard. Those are part of my favorite set, she exclaimed. She loved the hot pink lingerie set. It was so comfortable and fit her perfectly. With a woman who had curves, it was hard to find any lingerie that genuinely fit well. I'm just using them as insurance. You come to the party like you said, you'll get them back. She huffed out a breath of frustration. Fine. What was the real reason that you needed me in your office today? Stress. What? She didn't understand what he meant. He had better explain. Stress. I needed some relief. You provided it. She laughed. Well, glad I could be of service, Mr. Cooper. She dipped a mocking curtsy before leaving. Thank you for watching. For more videos like this, please like and subscribe. Ring the notification bell so you can get notified when I upload the next chapter. And remember, today was just one chapter of your story.